All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lasting Learning Podcast. So glad that you are here. Today, we have an absolutely incredible guest. I like to just call him a friend. He is an absolutely amazing human being. He is a guy that I look up to, and I don't even think he necessarily realizes how much I admire and appreciate him. He is across the lake from me. I feel like we can wave to each other right now and see each other. He is just an eternal optimist. I don't know if it's by nature or if it's by choice, but we're going to dig into that a little bit today. He is an amazing leader. He's an elementary school principal. He has taught virtually all the things to all the kids over in Kitchener, Ontario. He joins me once a week and inspires administrators and leaders from around the world with his wisdom, his knowledge, and just his infectious smile and personality. And today, he gets to share all of that with all of you. So, Brad Hughes, thank you so much for joining us.
Dave, it is a thrill to be here with you, and right back at you, my friend. I mean, you're an inspiration. You're a model to me in terms of your approach to leadership and approach to developing people. And as we pour our love and care into developing the people around us as educators, then I'm certain that that has positive benefits for kids. And so I'm just thrilled to be here, and thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. Wow,
No, and I meant every single word of it.
thank you.
Even just your first little response right there that you said, you dropped a little wisdom nugget that I'm going to circle back to in just a minute. So I want people to
Yeah.
hold on to the fact that you just talked about developing adults, developing leaders, because it trickles down and impacts kids. I think that's a powerful statement that I think epitomizes all that you do. But before we get to that, can you kind of just walk people through your journey? How did you get to the spot you're in right now? You're in year 24, 25, something like that of education. You've
Yeah.
been leading for a while, but what brought you here? What brought you to this moment in time?
As you said, Dave, I've been in education for 25 years. I started as a primary educator for French language in the Waterloo Region District School Board. Um, it was French language teaching that got me my first job. There was demand for French teaching, and I like to say it got me employed and it kept me employed because of the demand. But I loved it. Um, Over the years, I kind of graduated along with my students as they made their way from grade 3 to 4. I sort of did the same and became a junior educator, and eventually ended my career teaching middle school. I taught grade 7 and 8 visual arts, music, French, and special education. So my background is in visual arts, and so I left my degree program at the University of Western Ontario with a hope uh, at one time to be a film animator, and then it was actually sort of a crucial crossroads moment where I found out through great instruction and great counsel from other film animators that really the way of life, I guess the journeyman way of life of film animation, it wasn't a good fit for me personally and professionally. I had a lot to give to being an educator. So I actually left my degree program looking to teach visual arts as an interest and a passion. It wasn't until the last 3.5 years of my career that I had an opportunity to do that. But boy, I can't say enough about the opportunities that education has given to me. And I try to pour that attention into the kids that I served as a teacher. And now I consider myself a teacher of teachers, a champion and a cheerleader of all of my staff. And I continue to relish those connections that I make with kids in our corridors, in our classrooms, and it's been a heck of a ride. It's been a fantastic career. I'm so glad that I made that decision back in 1990 to choose education as my career path rather than as film animation.
So cool. I feel like I want to dig into that a little bit because that's a little piece of you I don't think I knew. The film animation and the visual arts. I knew that you had an art background, but I
Yeah.
didn't know it went so deep and it was such a driving passion of yours.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to paint a huge stereotype. I tend to do this a lot, so I forgive me,
Sure.
apologize in advance. But Canadians, people already look at and say, well, they're such nice people. Now, I'll just tell you from my own experience in education, the art teachers I've been able to work with are the nicest, most empathetic people on the planet. You are like both of those worlds combined. You just have this super niceness. I don't even know if that's a word or not, but
Yep.
like it just oozes out of you, this compassion and this empathy. Has that always been a part of your DNA, just to be this person that leans into people and really helps people feel like individuals?
I think it has been, and I think that's where people that knew and loved me as a kid, as a youth, as a student, really both subtly and then overtly directed me into service professions, and then specifically into education. And I have always enjoyed connecting with kids, whether it was babysitting jobs as a young teen, or I taught youth programs for our local recreation programs. I taught visual arts programs. I was a camp counselor, and all of those interactions with kids, and then by extension, the interactions with the adults that serve kids, were the ones that just filled my bucket. And it I enjoy looking for opportunities and finding opportunities to lighten things for people. So whether it's lightening the mood through some humor or some terrible principal jokes, or maybe it's lightening their load, doing something unexpected um, to ease whatever's either on their mind or on their plate. That's where I get my energy, and I can see and feel the difference that it makes to people. It's just that feeling of fellowship and that feeling of mutual support, and I get as much back from those interactions as people receive. So yeah, it's always been part of my DNA, and really school leadership has helped to crystallize that from um, has helped crystallize that in terms of my approach to service, and also my greater and greater determination to name that this is my priority. My priority is to put love out there, and my priority is to serve the people that serve kids.
Wow. There are teachers out there listening to this right now saying, man, I want to work with this guy, because you're speaking a language that I think a lot of people are trying to speak right now in this season.
Mhm.
And it's definitely needed. But I think for a lot of people, it is work and it is effortful to say they're going to be focusing on relationships and the people and pouring love in. And it truly is for this season, with all the chaos and the overwhelming nature of things and the anxiety that people are feeling. I think there are some leaders who, forgive this word, but are trying to pivot right now who they are
Mhm.
and their passions and their purpose, and saying, okay, I can't push people as hard. I can't focus on the numbers as much. I have to try to invest in people, and it's hard. For you though, it does come across natural, but I don't want to minimize that. And I don't want to say that it's just this natural thing that you've always had, because I can only imagine that it does take work. It does take effort. It is something that you've had to work towards and to groom yourself towards. People don't just come out of the womb saying, I'm going to look out for other people. I
Yeah.
mean, human beings are selfish by nature. When we are born, we start crying until we get what we want. But you have developed this sense of others first. And maybe it is this selfish desire where you just know it gratifies you to see other people smile. I don't know. But are your parents, were they just absolutely amazing people? Or was there
Yeah.
something else that groomed you into this person?
It's all of the above. I mean, my parents were loving, dedicated, uh, hardworking, just adoring parents.
Mm,
I benefited from lots of contact with extended family. I benefited from um, uh, I was somebody that did well in and even excelled in school, and so it was easy for me to make positive connections both with peers and with teachers as well. So um, a lot of privilege carried along with that too, and that's something that I don't take for granted. So I mean, in
mm,
my life, I very fortunate, never struggled with personal relationships, never struggled with school, no struggles in terms of food insecurity. Typical roof over your head, clothes on your back, and loving parents. And um, so I've got every reason to be so grateful for my personal foundation. And what I found in reaching where I'm at now is that that outlook of service, and that outlook of always wanting to do right by people and do for people, that I found in my experience too, that has a bit of a dark side. So I mean, um, there are two or three times in my young adult life and in growing into this role where I experienced periods of anxiety and was having panic attacks because of some unreasonable expectations that I put on myself. And basically, it was an outward view about how I felt people were perceiving me and my role in navigating all of their expectations of me and of my students as well. And so I describe myself as a recovering perfectionist. And I think that that's something that we are always continuing to refine, is giving ourselves constant permission to do the best that we know with the time, energy, and resources that we have. And gradually over time, giving myself permission and a reminder that as hard as I work and as deeply as I care and as much as I do, even all of that, sometimes you don't get the response that you expect, or sometimes the response that you think is even that fits what you've put in, and then giving myself permission gradually to understand that we've got no control about how people react or respond to our work in the world. That's actually been really, really freeing for me. And so, growing in confidence as an educator, growing in confidence as a colleague, as a family member, has all been part of the process for me. And so when people in my professional life or personal life confide in me that they are experiencing understandable anxiety, understandable depression, worry, panic, I can empathize because I've been through it myself. And I would say that I've been able to take steps to resolve that for myself and for my family's benefit. And now I'm in a position too where I can be real about people's struggles, and I can do what I can to support frontline, but also just to reassure them that in this, if not anything, these conditions, this situation we're in, Dave, with our pandemic, there is reason for worry, and there is reason for overwhelm, and there is reason for anxiety. And so as a school leader and as a human being, what can I do to reduce some of the stresses, some of the tensions that you're experiencing, so that you can begin to have the headspace and the emotional space to begin to put things back together.
Man, if I could just bottle that 5 minutes right there and put that on repeat for people. I think sometimes people misuse the statement "misery loves company." It's not that misery loves company. People just love empathy. And man, you just described your empathetic nature to a T. And it's something that I am striving for, and something I am desperate to get to. And I so appreciate how you explain that it is this journey for you, and it's been this thing that has some ups and downs, and how you've had moments where you've struggled with some self-doubt and some anxiety. So
For sure.
I've got to ask, because I don't necessarily know all the intricacies of the Canadian educational system.
Yeah.
Here in the States, things are, we entered this accountability age 2 decades ago, and the numbers drive the day, and administrators chase numbers, teachers have to chase numbers, and it's causing extra anxiety for a lot of people. You described your career path and the classes, the courses, the subject areas that you taught and you instructed, from visual arts to French to special education. But there's not like a specialty in mathematics or in science or literacy. I'm wondering, when you took on the goal to pursue leadership, or when you were tapped to become a leader, was there any extra anxiety on your end because of that? Or did you think people are going to perceive me differently? How did that go for you? I see the smile because you're relating to it already.
Yeah, there was tremendous worry about for myself. Maybe not worry from those around me, but there was tremendous worry in myself about not being a subject matter expert in neither literacy nor mathematics. Further to that, as a lot of gains were being made in the province of Ontario around literacy instruction and around investing in teacher development around literacy, I was following a similar path, but in French language. And I kind of missed the boat on a lot of that professional learning because my professional learning was related to my specialized position. And certainly the same thing occurred in mathematics. Within the last, I'm going to say 8 years, Ontario has initiated a renewed math strategy. And again, I came to that as an educator alongside, because again, I was teaching in specialty subjects. And so when I was tapped for school leadership, there was absolutely that worry. How am I going to lead program? How am I going to be an instructional leader in an area where I don't have the expertise? I've got the interest in finding out how to move student learning and teacher efficacy forward. But I had a real case of the pretender syndrome, and people knew my background in terms of visual arts and French. And so I was able to leverage that to really pour support into and enhance really the feeling around arts programs and French language education. But it was a colleague that reminded me that we are surrounded by great people for a reason. And so what I had to do is I had to let myself off the hook for being a subject matter expert. And believe me, I tried to read what I could. I did workshops and I did, but because I hadn't lived it, it didn't really mesh in an authentic way with who I was and how I wanted to lead. And so in spite of the reading and in spite of the best efforts, what I had to do is I had to acknowledge I may never become a subject matter expert in literacy nor mathematics, but what I have going for me is I'm surrounded by people for whom that is a passion. I've got my literacy leaders within my building. I've got my mathematics leaders within my building. I've got my newer teachers who are hungry to learn more and more about those subject matter areas. And so rather than being a keeper of knowledge or a sage on the stage, as you've heard, I allowed myself, I gave myself permission to be a facilitator. And so that is a key aspect of my approach to leadership and management. It's a key aspect of my approach for communication. Is I want communication and opportunities to flow through me and out to teachers, so that the teachers are growing, and when the teachers are growing, I'm also growing in my capacity as a school leader. So we always heard in our principals courses, you want to position yourself as a co-learner. You want to work shoulder to shoulder with people, and I had to do that because I had much more to learn from teaching colleagues and from consultant colleagues, from other principals. I watched, listened, learned. I went to demonstration classrooms, and further to that, once I began to get a grounding in it, I did everything I could to make those opportunities available for staff, because again, it's the teachers and other educators that are putting these curriculum goals, these learning goals into practice. And while I'm learning along with them, that becomes their opportunity and responsibility and mine to shift into whatever I can do to support, and again, take away barriers so that they can do their best work each and every day. So yeah, I remember that. I remember that, oh my gosh moment really, really clearly. But I reminded myself, and others around reminded me was that people saw what I had to offer. And I always say that all of us has a lot to offer, but a lot to learn. So I continue to be a learner along with my staff and along with my kids. And now in my 25th year, and this is my, I think it's my 9th year as a school leader, I am really finding my program voice. Now that I've had the opportunity to accumulate a lot of program knowledge, and not only as a facilitator of the knowledge, but as somebody who really, people as school leader, people want you to have an opinion. And so I'm getting more and more brave about expressing my opinion about what may or may not work for a certain student or in a certain grade level, but I'm always seeking to understand more. So when I'm putting my ideas out there, I'm also seeking to understand what other people are thinking and bringing to the table too. So it's been quite a journey. And while I still don't consider myself a mathematics nor a literacy expert, I do consider myself becoming an expert in facilitating other people's awesomeness. And so that continues to be my passion.
Tell you what, man, you were just articulating why I want to be Brad Hughes. I
Wow.
mean, you are saying the things that I know that you live. I've seen you live these. These aren't just words that you're just throwing out to the universe. This is who you are, and I so appreciate that. I think there are a lot of leaders. There are a lot of teachers, a lot of parents. There are just a lot of people out there right now that I think are wrestling with that pretender syndrome that you just discussed, feeling the need to have all the answers to all the things all the time, feeling like you have to be the expert, and that for some reason people will doubt you or think that you're not worthy of whatever position or title you have if you don't have the answers to all things. And I love that you are able to embrace your strength and say, this is who I am, without necessarily just tossing aside the relative weaknesses. You're continuing to grow into those, but you completely embrace who you are and what makes you tick. So I say all that. I'm going to ask you a very challenging question, and I don't even know if there's a right or wrong answer to this. But I'm going to throw a quote at you that I just read the other day. And as a matter of fact, I was going to bring this to you tonight.
Yeah,
We're scheduled to hang out a little bit tonight. I was going to
that's
ask you
right.
your opinion on it.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to put you on the spot.
done.
Okay. So thinking of the need to focus on strengths and not be a jack of all trades. The quotes, I'm going to butcher it, but it was, in essence, it was, when we focus on making people well-rounded, we settle for mediocrity. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on that? And I know I'm putting you on the spot. I haven't given you the
Good.
chance to prep, but what do you think?
That resonates for me for sure, because um, ourselves, we're on a mission to amplify our own strengths, and not necessarily to cover up or minimize our weaknesses, but to address them and face them head on. And that's what makes a school culture rich, is bringing to the fore and allowing people to bring to the fore what makes them tick, what their passions are, and in doing so, you're you're allowing that collective to grow everyone's capacity. So I've got teachers in my building who are passionate about infusing technology and media production in their curriculum. And I've got grade level colleagues, same grade, who have different approaches, a passion for literacy. I've got a colleague in the same grade that has a passion for mathematics and also a passion for student development. And if I was to ask one of the staff members to rein it in on the media production, or another staff member to, okay, you really should be doing what what I want to do is allow each staff member to be their best selves and to bring all of their expertise forward to their kids, and do so in an environment where when they have the capacity, when they have the time, when they have the interest, but most importantly, when it makes a difference to their kids at that moment, they have colleagues around them that can help them with the next step. So sometimes that next step is going to be a small one. Sometimes it's going to be a giant leap if you've got the time, energy to invest in it. But um, I I want to lead a school, and I want to energize a school community, each member of the school community, to identify and bring their passions to the fore. And the more we're aware of our collective strengths, and the more we're aware of what we're working on as individuals and as professionals, the better we're able to support each other. And then that makes the community grow, and that makes the culture grow. That makes it a place where people know when they're showing up for work, I do have something to offer. And boy, I'd like to learn more about such and such. And no one, I hope no one is feeling that they are. Like I try everything I can to avoid a culture of supervision, a culture of gotcha. Yeah, you should be doing this and not that. Um, it's the same for me. I mean, anybody could walk into my office and pull a gotcha on me for a decision, or for um, some form of communication too. So we're all in a process of just doing the very best we can with what we have. And then if there's a setback or there's a need for more understanding, we address it that way. Help me understand how to improve in this area. Help me understand how this communication or how this lesson might have gone better for you. But the real winners in all of that are the kids, because in each classroom there are kids that are really going to they're really going to resonate with that particular teacher's opportunity. And I find when you allow teachers and educators to be themselves and to leverage their strengths, there are kids in each classroom that they become the perfect teacher at the perfect time for that kid. And then you can see and you can facilitate great things for kids, where if you were that you might not see if you were putting the pressure on individual educators to be everything to everyone. Um, that's where I come down on that.
I don't even know where to go right now because I'm just like my jaw's on the floor. You just strike me as a guy who sleeps extremely well at night. Like I don't sense a lot of tension in you. Like nothing really rattles you, gets you fired up. I don't picture you coming into meetings and flipping tables and um, am I just completely off?
Nope.
Are you this chill and just you honestly see the good in all people and assume that people are giving their best effort at all times and lead with grace and love and compassion. I mean, is this the real you? It can't be,
Yeah,
can it?
it is. And thanks for asking. And when I'm meeting when I've met sometimes when I've met new colleagues at different schools, I've learned later that they've asked other people, is this guy for real? Like is it this is fake. This is a put on, right? But no, it it really is who I am and how I feel through and through. Um, I I like the difference that it makes for me. I love the difference that it makes for the people and the kids in my building. And I'm just going to be honest. There are absolutely times when there are times when I don't have the patience or the calm, cool, collected that you normally see. Like that's very, very human for all of us. And the good news is that when those moments come, I've got people around me who I can confide in. I've got people who know what rattles me, and they can sense. I can see that you're rattled by that. Let's debrief a little bit. But above all, just maintaining a sense of humor and a sense of, just like you said, is assuming positive intentions. And that's something that I keep coming back to, and have been tried to be a little more courageous too as a school leader in challenging what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing and how people are responding to what, and trying to promote that sense of reframing. Could it be something else? Could it be that could it be tension about this or stress about that? Could it be something else? Because of course it's natural to take things at face value, and very often what we intend is not what the actual impact is, and we all experience that in our day-to-day lives. So being someone who has worked on his own practice in terms of reframing experience, seeing the good, seeking the good. I mean, it's something that you do actively, not passively. It makes a difference to my well-being and outlook. And I like to think that it has a positive impact on those around me.
Yeah.
If I can find calm to share it, if I can find excitement to share it, if I can find sympathy, or if I can find empathy to share it. That's been actually a huge leadership lesson for me, Dave, that I learned from my first principal when I was first VP. Um, I I when I came into the VP role, and I was kind of outgoing, gregarious, kind of rock 'em, sock 'em, how you doing, that kind of a thing, and I was out there in the mix with all the kids. I remember kind of tearing around the halls, saying how you doing, high five, and that kind of a thing, and my principal took me aside at one point, and she said, what I want you to do, I just want you to watch. I just want you to be still and present, and watch what's going on rather than being in the middle of it. And I said, sure, that's fine. And what I learned from her is the concept of energy matching. So if you come to me, and I'm going to back up. It's all about what you need and what people around you need in the moment. It's not how you need yourself to be or how you need yourself to be perceived by others. So I was seeking to connect in really an authentic way, and really the way that I knew how at the time, just by being me, being energetic, bubbly, present. But if I'm coming at you and what you need is someone who is still, relaxed, a listener, I'm not bringing my best self to what you need. So that was pivotal for me, is learning the art of energy management, and learning the art of energy matching, is finding out what your colleague or loved one is bringing to you, or what the kid is bringing to you, and then you match your approach to what they appear to need in the moment. And I've also learned to ask for feedback. Like, am I giving you what you need in this moment? Do you need me to be a listener? Do you need me to be someone who is angry with you? Do you need me to lighten your mood and look on the bright side? But it all comes down to being ready to listen listen for understanding first. That I'm really grateful to my first principal. Her name is Betty Adams. And Betty taught me that art of energy matching, and it made such a difference to who I have become as a school leader.
I mean, Stephen Covey is looking down on you right now saying, man, seek first to understand. This is a man that has it. And what you just said is so profound. It's more than just trying to support other people and trying to serve them. The idea of energy matching, I mean, that like a light bulb just went off for me, because you described yourself walking down the hall, shaking hands, kissing babies, fist bumps, high fives, hugs. I mean, that is me, and that's how a lot of other people are as well. And I got to be honest, if somebody had come up to me and said, just sit back and watch, that might not necessarily be what everybody needs at all the time. I probably would have pushed back and said, well, they need to feel loved. This is how they need to feel valued.
Yeah. And actually I bristled. That stung a little bit because of course, as a new school leader, you're eager to connect, you're eager to demonstrate that you've got what it takes. And honestly, that stung a little bit, but I'm so grateful that I'm so grateful that I learned that, and that there is a need and there is a place for stillness. There's a need and a place. I mean, if I can't be an observer of people if I'm observing how people are observing me. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh.
Way, but
I always have this little yellow pad of paper. I'm writing that one down. That's right. Good stuff.
But if my focus is on how people are, if my focus is on how people are perceiving my interactions with them, I can't really be attuned to what they need. And so that was a real shift for me, is that, I can be gregarious, and there are still times in my workday where I'm visiting classes and cracking jokes and energizing people, but more and more there's a balance with just real presence and real stillness with what adults and kids need. So I'm happy to have found that balance, and I'm glad that Betty called me on that, and I learned many valuable leadership lessons with her that I still employ today.
So good, man. I'm wondering, like 1,000 things here, and I've got a list. I'm just checking things off as you talk of all these things I want to ask you, but my list is growing. You ever go outside into the garage and I'm gonna check off my list. I got to do the to-do list, and by the time you're done, you've got like 5 extra things on your list, even though you've been out there all day long. That's kind of how I feel after talking to you. I had all these things I wanted to ask you, and now I'm just like, I want to go 1,000 different directions and not quite sure where to go.
Yeah.
Let me just go here.
Great.
As a guy who always assumes positive intent and always assumes people are giving their best effort, and your responsibility is to lean into them and support them where they are in the moment. How do you determine whether or not other people have found success, and how do you measure your own success?
It starts by knowing your people, and it starts with really heartfelt conversations, getting to know them personally and professionally. And just like you said earlier, it's really what makes them tick. I like to ask questions like, what would it take? What do you need? How can I help? And I've learned to be somebody that is able to, exercise influence rather than supervision and support. There's always a need as we move professional practice forward for supervision and support. And you've heard it said many times that it's the positive pressure plus support. So I like to come back to personal success in a school setting with what student success is looking like. So if we can come together as a team around the needs of an individual kid, and we work backwards from the kid's needs, the kid's interests, the kid's strengths, and then we are asking the teacher, what would it take to help move this child forward in his or her capacity, even in a small way? And what do you need from us as a support team to make that happen? And then not just leave it as one and done. What I'm experimenting with more frequently now is, let's circle back to this in a week, or let's circle back to this in 2 weeks after I've had a chance to visit you in your classroom and check how things are going. And so that's where the supervision comes in, but it's collegial. It's not checking in with a checklist and saying, have you done this, that, or the other? Because again, when we assume everyone is doing their best with what they can and what they have, then we also position ourselves to be authentic listeners and authentic learners. And so just as we like to say yes as often as possible so that our no's really resonate, um, I like to be as I like to be as collegial and supportive as possible, so that you're building and engendering the trust necessary. If you have to have a significant conversation about an area of practice or something that needs to change to benefit a kid, then that has resonance, and people know you're approaching that conversation for their own success as well as for the kid's success. Measuring my own success is really measuring the happiness and the experience of the people around me. And I'll say I do a better job of that at work than I do at home. And I owe everything that I have to my family. And I do try. I try to make sure that I'm measuring my success as a husband and as a dad, in my kids' success, in my family's success. But it comes easier to me at school and at work for some reason. And there are always times as family members when you think, boy, I really should have just dug in there. I really should have just listened harder. I really should have just really sought to understand and really been present. So this is my goal for myself in the next little while, is to really stop and be present for my loved ones at home. Being present for people at work, it really seems to come very naturally. But gosh, I owe everything to my family in terms of where I am and what I do. It's better late than never that I invest that time and real presence with them. My kids are 18 and 20, and they're doing so well with their education and in their personal lives and in their work lives as well. So anyway, I just want to make sure that my success continues to be measured by my family's success in the same way that it's measured by my colleagues' success here at work.
Absolutely amazing. And Brad, when we finally get to see each other in person, I'm going to invite you to come over here to Michigan, because I think it's going to be a whole lot easier for you just to walk across the water.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I mean, it's almost too good to be true. Do you ever get into these moments where you just throw a tantrum and you feel like, why can't things just be the way I want them? Or are things the way you want them when everybody else is smiling? I mean, do you ever just me, I need something for me?
When those moments come, I seek support on them.
Okay.
And if I feel I'm not being heard, I'll confide in somebody. If I feel that a need of mine isn't being met, I'll seek support. And I rarely do that in isolation. I most frequently do that with my loved ones or the people in whom I confide here at work. My network is solid, and my support system is solid. So if I do experience feelings of isolation or despair or just really, I've got people who are there with me. So really, my my outlook improves the more and more I improve the outlook of others. It's the real deal. So,
So good.
but I also recognize what a privilege it is to be in that position of influence, of care, and of support. And I really, really believe, and it's been said many times, that children live what they learn. And so if children in my school and in my care see adults behaving lovingly and supportively to each other, they will learn to do the same thing. If children hear, I love you, you're awesome, that will only complement the other loving relationships in their lives. If staff know that they are needed and valued for what they do and for who they are, then they'll go to the wall for you. They'll go to the mat for you. And there'll be people piling on, because there'll be people that have their back to make things happen. And I want school and I want our community to be a place where people's needs are understood and met. And I'm really, really passionate in this time of the pandemic. I'm passionate about restoring our individual building, our school, and restoring schools in general as the places of safety and welcome that they were before the pandemic, because our communities need that more than ever.
Love it, man. You're a guy who when you feel it, you say it and you do it. You know, you've jokingly said before that you want to be this reacher outer. You want to be this
Yeah.
person that goes out and connects with others and makes other people feel valued. And you do it through just telling people, I appreciate you. I value you. I love you. You do it by putting messages up on your school marquee, just letting the kids in the community know that they're valued and they're loved. It's not all about school picture day and a little calendar. It's messages of affirmation, and it's so powerful coming from a man who, let's be real, sometimes kids don't ever hear that coming from an adult, let alone an adult male. To see that emotions can be displayed, affirmations can be said, and that you can just be genuine and love others, because again, what we do, they do. And your teachers are following your lead, your students are following your lead. You put it out there and you'll get it back. And I appreciate that you walk the talk, man, and on so many levels, so many levels. So we've covered a lot here. My notebook is filled with Brad Hughesisms. I don't even know if that's I don't
I
know,
love
but
it.
you got so many quotes that I'm just gonna come up with a little marketing swag site and just make bumper stickers filled with all the stuff that you said today. But it's all so good. It's so powerful. And you are able to take these big ideas and make them seem manageable. You make them seem doable. You make them seem attainable, not lofty and pie in the sky, which is so good and so valuable. I'm curious though, out of all the things that you've said today, um, if you were given the stage and the entire world were listening to you and you had the mic in your hand and you were about to pull, I'll use a Toronto reference here, I'll say, and you're
Yeah.
about to pull a Drake moment and
Right.
drop the mic, or maybe a Justin Bieber moment, I don't know, and you drop the mic, what would the words be that you said right before the mic was dropped and you walk off into oblivion to change the world?
I would just say, love one another.
Mm.
I would say, let's invest in each other's success. Let's invest in our kids' well-being, because all of those are necessary for strong communities. Um, let's let's come together about things that really matter: our health, our well-being, our sense of enjoyment of life. And I would say let's just keep focusing on the growth. Let's continue to grow as individuals. Let's pour our attention into helping others around us grow, and let's leave each other a little better for having come together even for a short moment.
Oh my gosh, so good. So good. It seems so simple, but it's so hard and so necessary at the same time, man. So good. So good. Now, Brad, I know there are people listening to this that say, man, he's a reacher outer. I want to reach outer to him. So how can they connect with you and continue to track your journey and just be affirmed and uplifted?
I grow so much through those interactions, and I'm so grateful to you and to folks on the Teach Better team who've helped me grow those connections. And I grow through every interaction. I mean, the opportunity to really get clear on what I think and feel, and to have my thoughts uh, amplified, or to know that they resonate with others, or to have my thinking challenged. That is huge for my growth. So I would be delighted if people connected with me on Twitter. It's at Brad, BRAD _ Hughes, HUGHES. There's a little Canadian flag next to my name. Right now, there's a little icon with me I'm just kind of in repose. I'm just kind of chilling, waiting for the next interaction to happen. But Twitter's where to reach me, and reach out by DM or on Twitter. And I want to do what others around me are modeling, and that's, if you reach out, I'm going to reach back, and we're going to grow. We're going to grow in awesomeness that way.
That's so good, man. So if you are listening, seriously, connect with this guy. What you just heard over the last 45 minutes, he will fill you with every single day. So connect with Brad, continue to grow, continue to be inspired. And Brad, thank you, man. Just thank you for your time today. Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being a reacher outer. And thank you for the value that you pour into my life. I know that I am better today than I was a year ago because of you, because of the influence and inspiration that you provide, man. I appreciate you and all that you stand for.
Dave, I love and appreciate you so much, and I just want to reflect that back to you. Your influence as an individual and as a member of the Teach Better team and our Mastery Chat family has been remarkable. It's been it's unlike anything that I've experienced as a person and a professional. So you give what you get, and if this is reflecting back to you, it's just really know that it's because of what you're putting out there to begin with. It's a real pleasure, and I'm really grateful.
I appreciate it, man.